Hi, everyone, and welcome to this transit call on Gate Gene Key Hexagram 7. As usual, I'll start with a presentation and then we'll have a conversation about it. So here we have the Alpha archetype. The Alpha archetype is in transit from August 6th to August 10th, more or less every year. This is the gate of the role of the self. In the I Ching, this hexagram is called the army. In the gene keys, we go from the shadow of division to the city of virtue, and the human pathway is guidance. Here we're looking at gate 7 from an I Ching perspective. So we should probably say hexagram 7. It's in the part of the wheel that has the water trigram on the bottom, which is the yin, yang, yin. And you're going to see later in the presentation that this is the color of purple through the Abaxis system that I'm using more and that I love. That is Sergio Arboleda, the Colombian astrologer. So water being linked to the color purple. And this is also an energy that is, of course, the depth of the water and linked to Scorpio as well. So Scorpio would also go under that color. And in the specific hexagram, we have water on the bottom and earth on top. Earth over earth is the same as Jinki 2. Water over water is the same as Jinki 29. So we could say that the 7 is made up of these two elemental energies. So the shadow of division is dislocated half-heartedness. The gift of guidance is orienting commitment or orienting with commitment maybe. And then the city of virtue is unity with devotion, or it could be unity through emotion. So you can play with the prepositions a little bit however you want. And this is also part of the living library on the Jinky website, where Elijah actually created all these braids that I'm just putting together so that you understand where they come from, and they come from those elemental energies. Here we're looking at this gate from an astrological perspective, where we see that gate 7 is in Leo, which is the illuminated leader and the courageous creator. This is service to self-growth through the will of intuition and manifestation. Leo is fixed fire. It's the second time in the wheel where we find fire. The first time in the wheel is with the first sign in Aries, which is cardinal fire, and then here we have fixed fire, and then the third time we're going to have mutable fire in Sagittarius. Leo is the roaring heart of the fire that radiates love in all directions. You can also see that Leo is the 5th sign, which is connected to the 5th house in modern astrology. The ruler is the sun, and it has to do with creativity, recreation, procreation, entertainment, pleasure, playfulness, romance, children. And here we're looking at the wheel. So now you can see we just jumped from having been for a whole entire quarter in the quarter of civilization, where purpose is fulfilled through form. Suddenly now, here as we're starting the quartering of union, we are now in the quarter of duality. And this is where we have the purpose that's fulfilled through relationships. Leo need to have spectators, an audience. And then Virgo needs to have people to serve. I'm simplifying, of course. Libra needs to have partnerships to balance with. And then Scorpio needs to have somebody to merge with or to die with. So it's all about relationships in this part of the wheel. Here we're looking at the body graph. We see that the 7 is living in the G center hub, as we are calling it in Thrive by Design, that we created with Ashley a few years ago, which is Unlock Your Design's way of explaining living your design. That one of the basic 3 courses in human design, which is the ABC and the rave cartography, and then living your design, which is all about the 9 centers. So in Unlock Your Design, we call those center hubs. And in those hubs, we have all the archetypes that are living in the hubs. So now we are in the identity hub, where it's about identity, direction, and love. And the 7 is part of the cross of the Sphinx, and it's the role of the self. And here you see the other archetypes that are living inside of the G. So we have, like I said, the Sphinx, and then we also have the cross of the vessel of love, which is 25, 46, 15, and 10. So both those incarnation crosses, the cross of the Sphinx and the cross of the vessel of love, are completely within the G center. Here we're looking at the whole channel, so we need to have the whole channel to see the whole process that this 7 is part of. This is the channel of the alpha, a design of leadership for good or bad. It's a projected channel. If it doesn't have energy that comes from one of the motors, it can't really lead. So that can be the frustration for people that have or the whole channel or just one gate, that there is not a connection to motor and it's a projected channel. There might be all these ideas of a better pattern, but how can it actually be executed? And then the theme, you are designed to be picked out of the crowd one day to be the leader, elected by the people to represent the people. So democratic leader. And the keywords for the whole process, the shadow of command comes from the shadow of division and arrogance. The gift of facilitation comes from the gifts of leadership and guidance, and the city of omnipotence comes from the city of humility and virtue. And then we have the programming partner, so different opposite sides of the wheel, the 7 in Leo, the 13 in Aquarius. If you have the 7 in your incarnation cross, you're also going to have the 13. If you have the 7 in your nodes, you're also going to have the 13. And we also see that they are mirror opposites in the hexagram structure. Wherever the 7 has a yin line, we're going to see a yang line in the 13 and vice versa. And then we have the circuitry. So here we're looking at collective circuitry. And again, we can say that the archetypes are living in those hubs, the centers, and the archetypes are going to care about different things. There are 3 main categories of what the archetypes care about. There are the individual archetypes, and they're going to care about self-empowerment. They're going to care about feeling the pulse and aliveness, the mutation in their own being, in their own life. They're quite existential in that sense. And then we have the tribal circuitry, which is about the tribe and supporting the tribe and feeling the people in the same family, in the same community, sitting around the same table, making sure that we are surviving in the material plane. And then we have the collective circuitry that you're seeing here, which is about sharing, which is about walking into the future. And the one part of this, which is the abstract circuit, is looking back and getting wisdom from looking back at whatever happened, and of those abstract patterns, it's making sense. So there's a lot of wisdom in that abstract or sensing circuit. But what we're looking at this week is the logical circuit. So this is the understanding circuit, and this is about experimenting. And that's something that we see, for example, in the 1858. We also see it in the 4816. So this is experimenting with patterns in order to find a pattern that can be expressed in the 31-7 so that we can walk into the future in a way that is more constructive. And you see again the main keynote is sharing, because if the 31-7 doesn't share that pattern, who is going to be able to follow the pattern or feel the pattern, tune into the pattern, execute the pattern, bring energy to the pattern? And then we have one more place. So this is where I was saying right before that when we are looking at the water, we are using the color purple. When we're looking at earth, we're using the color black, which is maybe a little bit more intuitive for many of you, because when we think about yin and yang, yeah, yin is usually black, right? Yin or earth, completely open trigram, that is in black. What we are seeing is that in this 7, and bear with me, in this 7th hexagram, we have the energy of earth, we have the energy of water. We could also say that the energy of water is connected to Scorpio. The energy of earth is connected to Cancer. So you can see that in those colors. We have the 8th sign and the 8th house, which is Scorpio. We have the 4th house and the 4th sign, which is Cancer. We can also look at the ruler of these planets. So we have for water, Mars and Pluto. We have for earth, the moon and Neptune. So there's so many ways that we can look at this. And then you have the verb. So we have a frequency band in the gene keys, but there's also a possibility to just put one word to the hexagrams. So here the word for the 7th is to belong, right? So if you belong, you can actually lead, go somewhere together. So here we have 2 little guys that are going together for a purpose or a direction that is a joint direction or purpose. And here is a little activation symbol for that, that if you wanted to activate the 7 in you, you could take a screenshot and you could use this one if you want to activate that kind of leadership, that kind of army in yourself, right? And then one more thing, which is what we see always in the I Ching, that within the hexagram, there is a hidden hexagram. So we are not looking at the top, we're not looking at the bottom, we're looking in the middle. So we have one earth trigram here. So here you see earth again, black in the middle. And then we're looking here, and then you actually see the thunder trigram. And here we have red, which stands for thunder. There are hidden trigrams within the hexagram. And that actually makes it so that we have not only the verb, but we also have the sense of the verb, and we have a recommendation. So for this week, this hexagram was activated right now. Like we said, it has to do with belonging. And the sense or the meaning of it is so that we can share a discipline. We can walk in the same direction. We can find a pattern that is better. We can share that understanding. And then the recommendation is to decide as a family. So it's collective, and it is to decide together, basically. So the 7 is way more a facilitator than what it is a leader that kind of just stands on the forefront or on the podium and telling everybody what to do. It's actually a joint process, because like we said with the 31 as well a few weeks ago, the 31 and the 7, they cannot lead if they don't have anybody that listens to them. This is the democratic leader, and it has to be recognized by the people. And also the people have to feel that they are part of the process. So deciding together, voting for the leader that then can be the voice and the behavior and the role of leadership, of influence.